Hello, 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 and welcome to Conversations with JR. I hope that you are having a wonderful evening, and I thank you for joining me for tonight's topic. Tonight's topic is about staying in relationships past their due date. I call it an expiration date. So I put a question out here to my viewers, and I said, or I asked, should relationship comes with an expiration date? And his reply was, everything has an expiration date. But people really don't think about expiration dates when they think about entering into a relationship. It's my belief that when people of mature thinking and emotional age, they go into relationships with the hopes of it being a long lasting, loving reunion. But what happens when the marriage, the partnership, the living arrangements go sour? What happens when the situation just is unbearable and you know that it is time to get out, but you don't? People have given a lot of reasons why they stay in relationship past their due date. People claim, well, I wouldn't say they claim, people say because of children. I can understand that. They outgrow one another, and I guess that means that one person has stayed stagnated while the other one has progressed in their life. People talk about financial reasons. I know a lot of women feel that they wouldn't be able to go out there and take care of themselves, especially if children are involved. I know of situations where one partner controls the money. That's a little bit of a financial abuse situation going on there, but she feels that she cannot leave because she's not equipped. So she is remaining in a relationship that is past the due date. And when I say past the due date, I am talking about relationships that both parties know that they're no longer interested in, they're no longer happy in, there is no emotional connection, there is no respect, no balance, there's just nothing left there. You're just two people existing in a situation because you feel you have to. Here are some of the reasons why people say they remain in a relationship past its due date. Some people say that, you hear people say, well, I'm not leaving unless he or she leaves first. Someone is waiting for the next person to leave so that way the finger of blame is not pointed at them. They get away scot-free. You ever heard this line, it's cheaper to keep her? Well, I don't like that. Some people, if there's children involved, they say, I don't want another man raising my children. I don't want another woman over my children. But at this point, you're being selfish because the relationship, the partnership, is no longer serving the purpose of stability for anyone, and especially your children. So you're just creating an unhappy environment. Some people say that they don't want to start over again. Some people feel like they invested their time and their money, so they just might as well stay. Some people fear of running into another bad relationship, so they'll say this, I'll stick with the evil that I know. I don't think that's a really nice thing to say, stick to the evil that you know. But people are really ashamed. Some people are really ashamed that they feel like a failure. They feel like a failure. So they rather remain in that situation to prove that they can make this situation work. Hear me out. I am not advising anyone to leave a relationship. I am not advising anyone to stay in a relationship that is no longer working for them, that is no longer happy. This is not what I am doing. I'm not a relationship expert. I'm not a psychologist. I am here just to talk to you about things that I hear everybody talking about, but they're not talking to the people that it matters. They're not talking to their spouse. Let me tell you something. When I left my first and only marriage, I got married when I was 24, left when I was 30. I should have left 2 years. I stayed for 6. I should have left 2 years into that marriage. I should have left. I knew 2 years into that marriage that this was not a good union. I was in a situation where I was being abused. I was in a situation where I was being controlled. I was not being abused physically, but I was being abused mentally. I was being abused verbally. It was just a very controlling situation. I stayed because I didn't know any better. I wasn't taught any better. I stayed because I didn't think I can do any better. I stayed because at that point I didn't have any earning power. I was working, but I felt that it wasn't enough for me to go out there and make it on my own. I stayed because I thought this was love, and love was supposed to hurt. Yes, love is supposed to hurt. Love ain't supposed to hurt. I'm sorry, people. I found that out years later. I stayed because there was an abusive situation going on, and I was afraid to leave. But you know what? After a while, I started observing other people in their relationships, and I started observing families, and I just decided to get out. I had help, but I decided to get out because I decided that, you know what, this isn't a loving relationship. It didn't value me. It wasn't supportive of me moving and growing. I wasn't respected. My voice in the house was not heard. I wasn't allowed to make any decisions. So I was in a situation, in a relationship that was past its due date. The relationship was only serving one person's agenda. So this is what people do when they are in relationships past their due date. You know, you create a hostile environment inside the home for everyone, especially if children are there, because you have this attitude and you're angry, and that spirit is there in that house. You have a side piece, side man, side chick. You come in and out of the house when you feel like it. Now, what purpose is that serving? It is no shame when relationships do not work out. People are not failures, but sometimes people are on their second marriage or maybe their third marriage, and they think the opinions of other people outweigh what they really should do. My mission isn't to point the blame or finger at anyone, and my mission is certainly not for you to go home and be pointing the blame or issue. My mission is that people in society, our relationships are broken, our relationships are hopeless, our relationships are they're just torn apart, they're just fractured, and no one is sitting down trying to heal. It takes time, it takes patience, it takes love. Go back and watch my video when I talk about going back to basics and video in relationships 101. Why are both parties staying in relationships where you are not valued and the union has fallen apart and no one is doing anything to put it back together again? So my hope is that you are sitting with your spouse, you're sitting with your partner, you're sitting with yourself, and you're listening to what I have to say. And this is just plain or everyday common sense. And that something will resonate within you. Something will touch you in here. In the meantime, while you're thinking about all this, this is my book, The Waiting Game. It's available on Amazon.com. My book is about my personal journey, my personal tales about staying in relationships. Number one, because of relationship myths. Number two, because I didn't know any better and I wasn't taught any better. And number three, staying in each relationship past this due date and the damage that it does, the emotional and the mental damage that it does. And it takes years and years to heal from this. And don't get out of one relationship and go jump into another relationship because that one didn't work out. Oh, you think you're going to get another relationship and that one is going to be better. Deal with the issues. Deal with the issues. So in the meantime, I'm hoping that everyone is going to join me. I'm on Facebook Live every Thursday at 8 p.m. for more relationship topics. In the meantime, I hope everyone is having conversation, and please conversate and communicate on an open and fair level. Thank you for listening. Good night.